So now that we've got the monkey doing the right thing, going to his correct location when he hears places, everybody, and some basic movement for the monkey, let's do the same thing for the bananas. And so let's come over to the bananas tab and start with the idea of the event when I receive places. Well, what's the right thing for this? Again, I think the bananas are a little big in their base size, so let's change the bananas. I don't know. Let's try 70%. That seems about right. Maybe a little smaller would be okay, but I'm going to leave it at 70% now. And I want them to be sort of here at the top. And for the moment, let's just put them. It kind of that seems about the right, left and right there. They sort of look like they're hanging from a tree. We could have them go to the center of the stage right there. That's good. So, there's the places, everybody. Go to the center of the stage at the top. And now we need to have some sense of movement for the bananas. And how do they go? Well, the bananas are what we call an NPC, a non-player character in a video game. And so they aren't controlled by a human. They're not controlled by the player. They're controlled by the game. And the idea is that when the game starts, the bananas should start to fall from the sky, right? And so how do we do that? Well, in this case, we need to have some concept of the game starting. So let's put that under its own event block here. So when I receive some new message called game, which just means the game is happening, right? When I receive game, I want the bananas to fall. Well, what does it mean to fall? Well, if movement for the monkey is left and right and is working with changing x by some coordinate, it seems like movement of the banana should be changing y by some coordinate. And if we change y by 10, remember that with the way that the coordinate system works, a y coordinate that's positive is going to be going up. Well, these aren't helium bananas, so we want them to fall. So we want to change y by -1. And so I could do that, and I can click on this, and you'll see that they are falling, but they're only falling one at a time. Right? And this is an easy mistake that for people to make. It says when I receive the game, change y by -1, but it only changes by -1. And of course, I want them to change repeatedly. And so I need to control this, and I need to have them repeat. And the question is, how long should they repeat? Well, I mean, one could make an argument for repeating some number of times, and we could figure out how many times we want them to repeat, although I'm not sure that's quite right here. We could make the argument of forever. I want you to forever keep falling. Now, you're going to find out later in this set of videos, I really don't like the forever loop in the grand scheme of things, but I think it's an okay way for us to get started. So I'm just going to say forever. In other words, over and over and over again, change y by -1. And this works okay. Okay. Now, in order to really get all of this working, we need to start to coordinate this. Right now, I've just been sort of starting this by clicking on these blocks. We need to kind of have these messages, we need to broadcast places and games. So I'm going to go to the backdrops panel. I'm going to go to events and say when the green flag is pressed, broadcast and wait places. So I'm going to make sure that everybody goes to their correct places, and then once that is done, I'm going to broadcast game. And I'm not sure why I'm not using broadcast and wait. It's just a gut feeling right now that we just want to say broadcast game and then let things sort of take over. We might change that later, but let's see how that works. And so the idea now is that I can press the green flag. Everybody went to their right places. I can move left and right in the monkey, because that's what we told it to do, right? And the bananas are falling 1 unit at a time, forever. And you can see it still is happening, but they've sort of stopped. And this is something that I don't recall that we talked about in any of the videos yet, although it may get added in at some point in one of the earlier videos. Let me just real quickly explain what's going on here. Scratch doesn't want you to lose your sprites. right? So Scratch does not want a sprite to go so far off the screen that you, in fact, lose it. And so Scratch has this idea of moving something until it is almost off the screen and then saying, I know you want me to change it more, but I'm going to say no. Notice that it moved it to negative 191. Recall that 180 is actually the bottom of the screen. So it's actually moved it a little bit off the screen from whatever the placement of the sprite is. But it says right now, if I keep moving this off the screen, you're not going to see the bananas anymore. They're going to completely disappear. And so I'm going to just stop. And so this is lit up. It says, I'm still moving this. But in fact, it's not. You can see it's staying right there at 191. And if I were to, I'm going to cheat here for a second and bring it back up, right? We can see it dropping here. Right here, we can see it going 1 unit at a time. But eventually, it will hit that 190, 191 spot and say, that's far enough. I'm going to stop right now. Okay. That's a good stop for this video. Good incremental development. The video that we now have the bananas doing their places, everybody, and we now have the bananas falling from the sky.